All right, in our next section, beg your pardon, now we have Amol Pradhan, Global Capability and Enterprise Agility Leader at IBM, to speak to us about how to sustain your enterprise transformations. Welcome, Amol. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Brittany. Am I audible okay, everyone?
Yes, you're
very
audible.
Much inspiring, Shane. And I was just laughing like anything when you said about the integrity part in the coaching world. I've seen so many people take just certificate 3 days, and on the 4th day I'm certified Scrum Master, and you try to become the real Scrum Master and the fun begins.
So that's a bit. So what I heard recently, it's a bit funny. What I heard recently is Scrum Masters and Agile coaches are, of course, different. But I heard that Scrum Masters can be the pushy ones, so they can demand, they can interrupt you, they can tell you what you want to do. But Agile coaches cannot. So that's a new thing I heard just 2 days back. So relating to what you said just now, Amol.
Absolutely, absolutely. There are multiple things there, right? All right. We'll just go ahead and share, like, it's more about, we have seen like a number of times you heard like this transformation we start, it stops or stalls or it fails, right? Either of the scenario happens there. So what can we do about this, right? So I will just share a couple of few minutes, maybe I think 15 minutes or so should be short. Let me share my screen. I would like to start with I think one of the most horrible anti-pattern is all about the transformation. Either victory is celebrated very early, that yeah, we are agile, and that's what is most suffering point from the leadership point of view I have seen. So how long we can fake it, and fake is not going to fleet for longer time, right? So I would like to show one thing before I begin. Are you able to see this GIF? I'm sure you have seen a couple of you. There is no audio for this, so don't worry, my audio is on, but there is no audio. Just I'm going to play this one. Let's watch one more. Right. So I think this is pretty much the common theme happening, that we are doing amazing. I call it the watermelon effect, that we would like to show we are amazingly green outside, fantastic, team is doing very good job on the velocity. And yes, we are singing, dancing into the agile transformation. We have adopted agile just within 4 weeks of time, and we have made a rocking start, right? But reality is very different. So sometimes in the transformation, we need to say, hey, can you be a little bit realistic? That we don't need to show like we are amazing suddenly, right? So how and what we can show. So I will go through a couple of slides now. So how to, I would like to refer this as a transformation coma. So how to overcome this transformation coma and sustain the agility, right? So start is very easy. A lot of investment from into the coaches, Scrum Master, and sustaining is hard. I have seen so many Scrum Masters, coaches getting fired in 6 months' time. There are no results. 10,000 people haven't transformed yet. And I've seen one client has engaged for 200 people and just one agile coach. I think they were expecting the coach to be a mix of Hulk, Spider-Man, Superman, and the whole Avenger, I believe. All right. And of course, it was not surprised that coach was fired, that couldn't produce any results. Right. So there was so many antibiotics. So how we can sustain, right? So that's the thing. So I was listening with Sandeep on this, like sustain agility trio. So I came up with this CPT. I wanted to come up with CPR, would be how we can get out of the coma. This is more about culture, process, and technology, right? So first is about align with the empathy and trust over command and control value. So these most significant enterprise transformation challenges are not technical anymore. Even though you want to go with cloud, cognitive, etc., it boils down to these three things, regardless of the technology. And we all are familiar with this, and we heard from already from Shane here, the psychological safety aspects of people. Are you really comfortable to say that I am having too much on my plate, especially in the remote world? We discussed into the panel as well yesterday. Can we really show that I'm already occupied, right? Do we need to be really available all the time? How are you going to empower the people? Right? Is it giving the authority, or are you also thinking who should be getting that authority? Are you really considering to give real empowerment, or it is just on the paper, right? Hey, Scrum Master, you are empowered, team, you are empowered, but are they really able to take the decision? Are you really keen about decentralizing the decision making? And servant leadership as the culture is the outcome of leadership. Right? So culture is the outcome of leadership, and that summarizes our multiple things. And Stanford says that culture is invisible. If it flows in your way, you feel very nice about it, cool breeze air. But if it goes against you, it's going to be very hot, right? And could be humid like Singapore's weather. So it's quite essential to have these 3 points in mind. You know? So that's on the culture part. Second part is about a process. And I've seen like so many organizations are still struggling having that middle organizations like global operations staff having kind of a bridge builder between technology and business. And the silos are there, handoff continues, and they have no focus on like what's the kind of a value stream are they focusing on, right? So it's purely, are we really considering the value added activities, or are we considering the non-value added activities, some taking action on that? So this is literally repeatable in each and every transformation, and we have been almost part of 25 over transformations, and this is common theme regardless of the industry, right? So these silos, and people don't want to talk, and business leader don't want to talk to technology leader. And so how we change, right? It comes down to the HR part and how we can really get rid of those silos. Yeah. And the third part, the bottom, the right side, the value stream mapping. Can we really get people to think about this value stream? Are you really focusing on the purpose, or are you only focusing on the profit? Because you can very well go with the profit in the short term, but in the long term, if you lose the purpose, you're not going to sustain, right? So these three things are going to be quite essential to really sustain the transformation. For short term, it's all right. You can ignore a couple of things. You can do a little bit of cargo cult kind of things, but you are going to damage your long-term sustainability, right? And the third thing is T, which is technology. Immense kind of investment is happening across large consulting firms as well as digital giants on emerging technology and innovation. I think there is no single day where you will read at least 10 times about hybrid cloud, DevOps, DevSecOps, and artificial intelligence, machine learning, right? So this is going to be there, and even within as well in the organizations, what we have been focusing, technology and digitalization is not optional. You see, like it's bubble tea in Singapore is also having the digitalization queue number, all those things on your app, and you will get message on the SMS. But until the NASA, right? So that's not optional at all. So what it tells us, right, that technology is essential part to achieve the speed to value over speed to market. Because a lot many times, even earlier to the morning, people were saying that we want to achieve the speed to the market, and that's all basically they were focusing on. But is it really going to make the difference if they accelerate themselves towards something wrong into the market? What is going to be the ROI? Are they going to sustain again, right, into the market? Right. So I think I like this principle quite a lot, to speed to value or speed to market, because you can go really like a Ferrari speed into the wrong direction, and suddenly you're reaching to the west instead of going to the east side, right? So I just to summarize this point, the three things on the CPT. So culture and people is the first and foremost critical thing to take care from these three angles: psychological safety, empowerment, servant leadership. Whereas a co-located minds or co-located people are the critical. Second is the silos, handoff, and value stream mapping from the process perspective. Are you really having the value-added activities or non-value-added activities? And the third T, technology, regardless of cloud transformation, cognitive transformation, if you do not embed these other aspects, so it should be a combination of CPT to achieve your sustainability in any transformation, right? And the fourth value is in the middle, that co-located minds or co-located people, which is, I believe, the heart of the sustain agility, right? So we have seen this culture, process, technology maps nicely with these three values. And the first principle Sandeep has noted down, I believe that is the heart of the overall the sustainability agility manifesto, right? I think I will take a pause there. It was a short and quick one. So we'll like to see any questions are there. We'll prefer to spend some time over the question.
So there is one
more for listening to.
Yeah, so if you had to pick just one of these three areas in the CPT to invest the most in, what would it be?
It's no brainer. It's the first C, culture and people. And as I think Shane was talking, it comes back to the integrity part, right? That's the most critical thing, where people are going wrong in number of ways, right? So if leadership is not engaged, you're not going to achieve the culture. So culture is the outcome of the leadership. That's why I would like to reiterate. Technology, of course, everybody is focusing on that. It is not optional. Digitalization, process, nobody has choice, because you need to have some process to have the interactions between the people and get the things going, right? But what people are missing is the everybody is aware of the culture, but it's very hard to crack that nut. And I've seen like one of the insurance CEOs last year when I was presenting, they said, we know, Amol, that this is really wrong. People are really collaborative. They are like behaving like a family, but they have lost the touch or the user centricity. So they were highlighting completely extreme end, that they are not seeing that customer obey kind of centricity and super focus on that, right? So I think that's where is my one vote, if you give me one vote on the culture and people. Any other thoughts from the group here?
Amol, in your experience, when you've seen culture and people become the primary focus, what does that look like in reality from the perspective of the actions that the leaders are taking? What's the main difference when they prioritize your number one item of culture?
Yeah, a very good question, Brittany. So what is the specific action? I have seen some of the senior leaders, and senior means to be very specific, CEO of one of the bank in the EMEA region is extremely committing the time, because what you hear when you just go and ask that, hey, we have a leadership session for 3 full days, what answer you would get?
Busy. But if they were committed, they would say, all right, I'll make it happen.
Yep. Like I know Gretel is there and other guys who are on the side. How many times you managed to get a CEO or 3 days, CFO, CIO, CTO, whole C bunch sitting for 3 days together? The first challenge, go ahead, Gretel.
At Suncorp, that is how it happened. That's
Exactly.
genuinely how it happened, but you're absolutely right. It's that word committed.
Yep. So getting just one CXO is okay, but when you try to find a common slot, right, just between all CXOs, CEO and C-1, it's like a much difficult task kind of thing, right? So
Unless the CEO says it will happen. So if there is that genuine from the top transformation commitment, it happens.
Exactly. And that's spot on, right? About what Shane has said. So in this case, the CEO was like fully keen. He was having the meeting with Prime Minister of the country, but he's still committed to join for 3 days. And what is the result? Like all the C-1 joined the meeting as well. 3 full days and virtually, which went for 6 days. Right? So that's, I mean, incredible. Out of all the transformation, I will still remember this story. I hope that answers, Brittany, your question, right? So it's all about just not talking about the commitment, but is walk the talk, show the commitment, right? And he was saying number of times, you have got my back, but just saying that doesn't help, right? He spent the time, 3 full days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like, do what I do, not what I say.
Absolutely. Right? So yeah, Shane has summarized it. If the CEO is committed and says, I'm going to attend, people are going to free up their diaries, right? But we don't see that too many times, right? You will always see the busy.
Exactly. And then I guess outside of that, what have you seen to be the most challenging action for, apart from time, what is the most challenging aspect of the transformation for senior leadership, specifically CEO and C-suite going through these transformations? I think people are quite keen to hear about that as well.
The silos, Brittany, the simple answer. For example, how many times you will find CIO, CDO, Chief Digital Officer, and Chief Technology Officer would be happy to chat about each other's challenges and align themselves. So it's all about the alignment with the leadership. I would say alignment is the next biggest challenge what leadership is facing, because everybody has their power spots, power games. When they see the budget overall, that is one common pot, right? And that's where the story begins. Hey, who is going to get the more chunk out of this budget? Right? Is it going to be Chief Digital Officer who is going to be allowed to hire more people, or is it CIO who's going to allow more technology side of people? So we have seen the huge fights. Raj getting serious. I'm not going to take the client name. So we have seen the fight there between the Chief Digital Officer and CIO. So it's all about the alignment, and they're just not talking about it, but internally the issue to read about what's going on, why they are not aligned. So it comes down to the budget, what they're getting. All right, so it's alignment. Shane, any thoughts from you on that end? I'm sure you have seen this many times as well.
Yeah, it is, how do we create that compelling vision, that common through the organization? And Gretel talked about it. Suncorp did it incredibly well. There was a common urgency all the way through the organization. There was a passion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Alignment and creating that urgency as well. Otherwise, people just feel like they're walking in the garden, and we will just change whenever we feel happy. Right? There will be one moment where one day I will be happy and I will change. So I think creating the sense of urgency is quite critical. So I think it's alignment and creating the sense of urgency, right? And it will happen once the purpose is here. So the example Suncorp you highlighted, if you ask all the leaders, I'm sure they must be talking the same. What is the vision, right? And so they are having the absolute clarity on the purpose.
So Amol, can we use your SustainAgility Trio on our website?
Sure.
I am following the code of ethics now from Shane. What you just mentioned.
Absolutely, Sandeep.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you. So yeah, we'll definitely give the credit there. It is coming from you. So thank you. Right. Are there any other questions from anyone? Let's see in the chat.
I think one question I have, Amol, is yes, we are saying that all three are important, and first is people and safety. But when you go in as a consultant and find that it's a lot of organizations now are focusing on technology and then saying, oh, I'm investing in technology and I expect people to change and I will not do anything, just communicate that I'm investing in technology and I expect it to change because we are doing a transformation. So when you're going in as a consultant, how do you influence the leaders to start thinking about people and culture first before actually thinking about technology or other transformation aspects?
I think I'm guessing which scenario you're talking about. So as I mentioned, right, there is intense focus there and the budget is going into the technology itself. You will not see how I can uplift the people, for example, hybrid crowd, right? If Raj is coming from the technology background, he also has got coaching background, right? Same for Brittany, she has got, she can talk about DevOps and coaching both. But are you going to invest in her transformation skills? How is she going to help people with the culture transformation specifically? So it's a journey for the leaders, and I think it needs hard conversation, and we need to have the courage. And if we think about, oh, am I going to compromise my career if I talk about that, right? Then that is a challenge, and that's where I have seen the clients are engaging consultants to show the mirror how shitty we are, right? And I think that's the summary, right? That's that we are investing heavily on our technology, but are you going to give a simple thing, right? Are you going to give them the time, or are you going to expect them to do the targeted deliverables, but also upskill themselves? Simple thing, right? How much ready they are for the investment? Are you happy, Raj, with that? So show the mirror basically and invest in that, right? I think, sorry, I interrupted someone. Somebody was saying something.
No, we are good.
I think I agree with that, Amol. I think also from a consulting perspective too, there's an extra layer of careful that in the level that you get to engage with. So if the consultant comes in, having the right sponsorship at the right level for that consultant or that group of consultants is really powerful. If that's not there, I think the consultants go into tools and process mode. Yeah.
Super point, Brittany. In one of the client where your sponsor is not senior enough, you won't be able to add too much value and they will not get too much value from you. I have gone through that experience as well. But if you have a senior level of sponsor, especially in transformation, if you have anybody less than a C level as a sponsor, you're not going to go too far and you will not be able to make too much value-added activities as well, because your hands would be tight, right? Who's going to ring the bell, right? Okay, that's how it is.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Amol. We will be looping back soon, I'm sure, and keeping the conversation going in our Slack workspace channels. So any further questions, please do add them in and let's keep the conversation alive. And yeah, thank you so much for your insights and that awesome model for us to frame our thinking around. It's fantastic.
Thank you so much.